All right, it is 2:03. Dr. Bob, I'm going to unmute you. I muted you before. Hold on 1 second, and then we'll begin. All right, Dr. Bob.
Okay, I'm here. Thank you.
So thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. We're going to be having a discussion around preparing for winter and best practices involved. For those of you that haven't been on one of our webinars in the past, because we've got quite a few people on today, we can't have you all unmuted at once. Oh, that would be wonderful. So if you do have a question, put it in the question box located there. And we'll answer questions probably at the end of the webinar. So Dr. Bob, he's to the left and I'm on the right. Dr. Bob, what are you holding up there?
Those are pea plants that were treated, seeds were planted in treated soil, Holganix treated soil, with on the left and without on the right, and you can see the effect on root length.
Yeah, it looks like the root kind of trails off the photo. The first question we want to get from you guys is which industry are you in? So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. This is just going to get us an idea of who the audience is. So our options are lawn and landscape, sports turf, golf, other, or you're a distributor or Holganix employee. So we've got about 50% of you that have filled it out. Can we get a couple more people in there? All right. So it looks like for those of you that are participating, you're all in the lawn and landscape industry, which is great. This presentation was designed for the lawn and landscape industry. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are on board. And then also, just so we can kind of get an understanding of what problems you're facing, if you do know what kind of winter injury type you're facing most often, go ahead and select it. If you don't, you just know it's winter injury in general, then select the last one. All right. And it looks like the half of you that are engaged today, you're saying that you have winter injury in general. It's not a specific issue you're facing or you're not sure of which of the issues it might be. So with that in mind, Dr. Bob, can you tell us a little bit about the threats that we're facing in the industry when it comes to winter?
Well, sure. We list 4 issues here: dehydration, suffocation, snow mold, and wind desiccation. So dehydration and wind desiccation are in a way related, because in both cases it's like a drought effect. So if the ground is frozen, we don't get any water moving to the plant. That would be a really deep freeze, and then the plant can affect dehydration, which is kind of like a drought because it's not getting any water. And wind desiccation, if we're getting hard, cold north winds, you can, if the turf hasn't been properly hardened off, just anything that's green and growing can be affected with freezing, and therefore desiccation and killing of the cells. Suffocation is interesting because in this case, for instance, you might have snow or ice, or snow that formed ice, creating a very hard, impenetrable cover over the lawn. And then while this is occurring, the plant dies from suffocation because it's not getting any oxygen. Plants need oxygen to conduct respiration, and the crown of the plant is the growing point of the plant. It's what regenerates next year's growth, can die from lack of oxygen. And snow mold is generally pathogens they may even be of unknown origin, but if the lawn is wet and covered by snow and wet for an extended period of time, especially into the spring, the green grass that is up above the soil line is subject to fungal diseases, and in a broad classification called snow mold.
Interesting. So, Dr. Bob, you get to speak with a lot of customers, and what are you seeing out in the field? Is it one of these that is the most prevalent that you're hearing about, or does it really just depend on the region you're located in?
It's very regional. Like for instance, last year we had a pretty warm winter, and we didn't hear anything at all of this suffocation issue. Mm-hmm. And then the year before we had a really cold winter and an extended winter, and we had a lot of snowpack impaction over the turf, and broadly speaking, in the Northeast, we heard a lot about this issue. Yeah. Snow mold, we hear about that just about any year when we have a snow cover, especially from late snowstorms. Mm-hmm.
And so as guys prepare for winter, these are some of the pieces that you said people should look at. And that's aeration, fertilizing, mowing, dandelion control, and the use of active biology. So before we get into aeration, I just want to know, you're all in the lawn and landscape industry, so do you guys currently offer aeration services? And if you don't, it's okay. We just want to kind of get an understanding of this, if this is a service you're even providing. All right, let's show the results. So no one is currently offering aeration services, which is interesting. But about half of you are saying that you don't, and about half of you are saying that you're thinking about adding them in the future. So with that in mind, Dr. Bob, why does aeration help?
Well, let me say one thing that isn't on the slide, and that is it can stimulate your pocketbook. It's a service you can add to your customers during a down period. That is, after your last summer fertilization and before your winter or fall application. So this is a down period when you're sitting around, maybe servicing equipment, maybe planning for next year, but you also could be out in the field in let's say August, September, even early October, and offering an aeration service to your customers. It's a good thing to do because it stimulates the biology in the soil, and it breaks down compaction, allowing for better movement of moisture and oxygen into the soil, or atmosphere into the soil, carbon dioxide and oxygen. And it offers a really great opportunity for reseeding because the seeds can settle in the areas where the aeration marks have been made, and offers a great boost to germination of seed in the dry weather that might occur during this time of the year.
And so why, if a turf is aerated in the fall, why does that specifically help for the winter?
Because it stimulates deeper roots of the plants, and not just deeper roots, but healthier roots, and promotes it helps the plant get ready to harden off for the winter months.
Gotcha. And so as we talk about fertilizer, what fertilizer should we look at using? Which nutrients are important, and how does it help? specifically in regards to preparing for the winter?
Well, fertilizers, of course, you all know that phosphorus and nitrogen are key ingredients in nurturing a healthy lawn. But at this time of the year, it's going to help to increase the plant hardiness and promote the root growth that we just spoke about, and also increase crown vigor. Now, the crown is that area of the plant. It's the growing point of the plant. It lies right above the roots and before the plant starts. The leaves are visible. But all the leaves initiate from the crown, and all the rhizomes and stolons initiate from the crown. So essentially, all your new growth is dependent upon the crown, and we need to have a healthy crown going into spring. And then lastly, because we have healthier roots, we're going to increase water efficiency in the plant.
And why is phosphorus and potassium so key for this time of the year?
Because they focus on
those effects,
new growth and root growth.
Gotcha. So I'm not sure if you guys are offering mowing services or not, but if you do you favor a shorter cut in the fall? And so you all said no, which may also be because you're not necessarily offering mowing services, depending on who you are and what your business looks like. So, but for those of you that are offering mowing services, why does mowing help? Why does having a shorter cut in the fall help for winter preparation?
Let me first say that this is an area of controversy. Not all agronomists agree that it's important, but I'm one of those who does believe that it's important. And let me also say that if you're one who wants to embrace this practice, let's say you have a 3 or 4 inch cutting height in the summer and you want to go into the winter with a 2-inch height, don't just go from 3 to 4 to 2. Stage it in your 2 or 3 cuttings before that last cutting. Stage it down to the height that you want, because just going from a high height to a low height, the plant doesn't adjust very well to that, and the new growth will be uneven. But why do we want to do this? We want to drive energy away from the leaves and into the crown. We want to make sure that we have a strong, healthy crown that will go through the winter well. And lastly, we want to prevent snow mold in the spring. The more green grass you have, by green I mean living grass that you have, going into the winter, getting laid down and matted on with snow over top of it, and staying in wet puddles and so forth as the snow melts. All this is in the advantage of having snow mold as a problem. If you have a short, stubby turf that's not laying over, letting the moisture run off of it and into the soil, or even run off of it and away from the soil, you're going to have less snow mold as a problem. And that's actually the biggest reason why I'm a proponent of lowering your turf going into the summer. There is one other advantage to those of you who have a leaf collection part of your business, and that is the shorter the turf, the more the leaves blow off your lawn and onto the neighbor's lawns.
Mm-hmm. And then you already kind of mentioned this before.
Yeah, I did do that. I'm sorry, I forgot that slide was coming.
No, but just like a slow progression to short height reduces the shock that the turf undergoes. Was your big takeaway there?
Again, just to emphasize, if you cut it, if you go from 4 inches to 2 inches, the plant in regrowth doesn't know whether it's shooting for 4 inches or shooting for 2 inches. And so it's better, again, to do it stepwise, so 4 inches to 3 inches to 2 inches.
All right. The next point you wanted to bring up, Dr. Bob, was dandelions.
Yeah, this doesn't have to do with the winter care of the plant, but again, it's a service you could offer in the fall because dandelions are a biennial crop. That means their life cycle goes over a 2-year period. The seeds that are shed in the spring germinate in the fall. And if you went out and walked over a lawn in the fall now, and looked carefully, you'll see little seedlings of or little plants of dandelion. And these plants, it's actually when they're young and just getting going, it's actually the best time to control them. You can get a complete kill of the dandelions in the fall. And if you do that, you're going to have less problem with dandelion next year if you treat it in the fall as opposed to treating next spring. You're also going to have it done and not worry about getting it in and around the rains that come in the spring. So just a thought, it's another opportunity to make a pass over the lawn this year, and it's a really, really good way to control dandelions.
So as we move into talking about active biology, are any of you guys using Holganix right now? If you're not, it's okay. Let me just launch this poll. Just so that we understand what your level of understanding is in regards to active biology. All right. So someone just responded after I showed these results in there. So it looks like we actually don't have anyone that's really using Holganix. We had a couple people say testing that popped up after I closed the poll. Other than that, it's not yet. So that's interesting. That's good to know, especially as we kind of go into this conversation, which is more about active biology as a general subject, not so much about Holganix. But Holganix does contain active biology, and we'll get to that a little bit later. So, Dr. Bob, why does active biology, having living beneficial microorganisms, why does that help?
Yep, your plants, in this case turfgrass, lives in the soil. It has roots that go into the soil, and the plants up above the soil. All of that, the leaves and the roots, live in association with other biology. And most of that other biology is in the form of bacteria and fungi, microorganisms, which have become, over the years of evolution, critical partners to the growth of the plants. So without getting into the specific details of each organism, these organisms promote healthy root growth. And one of the big things they do is assist the roots in sourcing out nutrients and being able to take the nutrients up from the soil. And also, by having vigorous plant roots, it's like having a strong athlete. If the body is strong, in this case, if the plant is strong, it's going to be resistant to diseases.
Awesome. So we're really fortifying the plant strength as they're about to go through this extremely stressful time in the season.
Yes.
And so for those that don't know what Holganix is, Dr. Bob, can you explain a little bit about it?
Well, it is 100% organic. It's composed of biology in the form of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, nematodes, and it includes other additives such as we talk here about food sources for the organisms, and also plant extracts, and we added soil minerals. So it's a complex combination of biology and chemistry. everything put in with a purpose in mind. And all the biology is geared towards a benefit of the plant. In other words, the biology is functioning as like a probiotic for soil, just like yogurt with bacteria is a probiotic for human gut. So, and again, so you'll know it's a really plentiful amount of organisms. There's over 800 species, individual species of organisms in our product, most of which are bacteria, less than 100 of which are fungi. And then there are also nematodes, protozoa, and things of that sort.
Very cool. And so really the product's all about building that plant resilience up so it's better able to deal with stresses involved with weather, disease, insect, but it's also about increasing that uptake of nutrients and unlocking nutrients in the soil so you're able to use less. You don't have to use as many fertilizers and pesticides and even water when you're using Holganix. You're able to make cuts. And so as we're looking at the fall, this is kind of a recommended program if you're a Holganix user. If you're not, then using a kind of active biology with a heavy phosphorus and potassium fertilizer is another solution. And Dr. Bob, really, what does that give you when you combine the two products, or if you combine, two products that are somewhat similar?
So I'm sorry, I missed that question.
Yeah, so if you combine Holganix refrigerated products and the 21020, the Holganix 21020, which is a phosphorus and potassium fertilizer with microbe food sources, what does that give you?
Well, here it is. The Holganix is all about making your fertilizer program more efficient. It creates a healthier roots. It surrounds the roots with a fungi called mycorrhizae, which comes from our product. The mycorrhizae live in harmony with roots, enabling the roots to better absorb the fertilizer, and in return, the plants exude sugar into the soil, which makes the mycorrhizae grow well. So if you are interested in improving your tolerance to stress and cold, then you want to build strong roots. You need fertilizer to do that, and you need biology to assist the plants in obtaining the fertilizer.
And we also have increases nutrient utilization for plant hibernation, and then just fostering a balanced soil food web or soil ecosystem with living biology, all of which is going to be really great as you head into winter. All right, well, just if you enjoyed this webinar, a couple things to consider. Check out Let's Talk Turf. It's an interview with Ultragreen. They're a Holganix user. You can ask them anything you want. All questions are fair game. It's one thing for us to sit here and talk about how great we think the product is. We work here, so we're a little biased. It's a totally different experience to hear from someone who's actually using the product in the field. And Caleb's a really smart guy. So definitely look to attend to that. And then we also have, if you guys are interested in Holganix granular products, we're going to have a Healthy Grow representative with us on this webinar, which is scheduled in December. Who is the Canada distributor? That was a question that just popped up. I'll actually have to double check on that. We do have someone in Canada, but we tend to deal more with the US, so I'm not sure what the company name was. I'll have to get back to you after the webinar.
Well, Canada's a big country. You need to know what area of Canada they're talking about.
Yeah, I think isn't that one we
have a distributor in Ontario near west of Toronto.
Gotcha. And if you're not located in that area, we can set up some other distribution for you. Manitoba is where he's from. Okay.
It's specifically the Canadian distributors in Waterloo. Gotcha. And we do not have a distributor in Manitoba, but I'm sure we could get it to you through that through that distributor.
So if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to Dr. Bob or myself. We're here to help in any way possible. All right, guys, thank you so much for attending today. I appreciate all of the engagement and spending time with us. I know you guys are busy, especially in October, and we look forward to seeing you on future webinars.